Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we'll be learning about the CSS Box Model. So let's get started. So on my keyboard, I will press F12 in order to inspect. As a developer, you can inspect any site. You can use the command F12. So you can see what it should. Then why this is the HTML element, you can see the head, the body, span, and the rest. So going to the CSS, this is the CSS. You can see the display, the font family, the font size, the margin right, the margin left. So this is what is called the CSS box model, which include the margin, the border, and the padding. So I'll be explaining this in this video. This is just a picture of the margin, padding, and border. So let me exit here by pressing the same command F12. So I'm back to my site. So now let's go to our Visual Studio Code. Yeah. So this is my HTML. I've created my title, the H1 CSS box model, then the paragraph. I just copy the random paragraph. So I will be minimizing my screen because I will want to make use of the live server. So I can click here. Before then, let me minimize my screen. So I'll go over here. My system has the capacity to minimize a screen. So I want to put it side by side. Good. So now let me click my live server. Right click. Open with live server. Good. So see how our website look like. So in this video we'll be continuing furthermore on learning properties on CSS. So I'm using the internal styling so that I will not have to create a different document or a different file where I will put them using the external. And remember what I said in my previous video, that for a single page website it is advisable to use the internal styling. So let's target the first thing. Let me target the body. Can just put the body, open the tag. Which property do I want to target in the body? Let me target the background color. Or should we leave the background color as it is? I think it's okay. Let's leaving it the way it is. Let's leave it the way it is. No need to target the background color. So this is actually a div. A div is an invisible container. So let's target this div using the class, this class selector, which is box. So what do we need to change in it? As you can look at it on the website, you can see that this is actually touching edge to edge. Let me create a background color. Let's make it green. We've changed it to green. Okay, let's change the color of the text to, let's say, white. So we just type the property name is color, then let's type white. Good, it has been changed to white. So now talking about the margin. So everything within the CSS is actually a box. So I have this extension called pesticide. is a Google extension, pesticide. So if I click on it, it will tell me that everything within the is a block. So this, what I've written here is actually small. So let me undo it. Let me go to, let me open a website, Fred website. Oh no, let me know. I need a colorful website. Let me open like football. Very easy. Go.com. Go.com. Good. Shout out to PH's fans. So let me press this extension again. Pesticide. I think this website is still loading. It has not completely load. Let's wait for everything to load completely. It's still loading. It's not. I don't. The network is slow. So let's just continue anyway. When it's done loading, we'll come back. Okay, let me go back to mine. Yeah, let me go back to it. Good. So everything within CSS, everything with every of the HTML element is actually a block. Either it is inline block or inline or block element, but it's just like a four corner, a rectangle. The way it looks like a rectangle. So now talking about the other properties, let me complete this. Then let's go to, let's use the first property I'll be discussing about. Let's call it padding. No, let me call border. Let's start with border. So CSS has a property called border. Border has to do with the edge. With the edge, you can see border. Then with this border, we can do something like we can give it a thickness. You can put 10 pixel. At the same time, we can style it solid. That means it should be solid, and we can also give it a color. Should be, let's say, black. Let's see how it will come out. Black. Now you can see what appears here. This is what they call the border, and we've provided the property of 10 pixel thickness. That means the size is 10 pixel, and we made it solid. We have different options. It can be none. It can be, I think the other one has dash good. You can see like broken lines. This broken line, but I want it to be solid. Okay, being solid, that you can, I'm sure we have seen some website where we've seen some pictures that add border being made to be solid. So now we can see that this the paragraph are too close to the edge. just too close to the edge. In order for us to make it a little bit separate it from the edge, where there's a property called margin, which you can use. No, with a property called padding. Sorry, padding, padding, which you can use to move them. So we can provide just one single property, single style. We can just put one 10 pixel, 10 pixel. You can see the effect over here. 10 pixel. When we said 10 pixel, that means we said both the top, this the right hand side, the bottom, and the left hand side should be 10 pixel. That means we are shifting it a little bit by 10 pixel. But apart from that, we can actually provide even two values. Let me say 20 pixel. So what's with this 20 pixel mean? These 10 pixels refer to the top and the bottom, while the 20 pixel refer to the right and the left. We can equally provide four values. You can see as I'm applying each, it is changing it. So the first one has to do with the top, the second one has to do with the right, the third one has to do with the bottom, while the fourth one has to do with the left. So it's a clockwise movement from the top clockwise, just like this. And it is very very important, so that we it is very is important, so that we separate our text from the body, so that it will not be too close to the edge. So let me go with the first with just one. Let me make it like 20 pixel, 20 pixels round. So 20 pixel here, 20 pixel here, 20 pixel here, which is equally fine. At the same time, we may decide there's another property I want to introduce us to. It's called the width. The width of this our div, right? This is a div. So this is the width. So we can give it a width. We can give it like, let's say, 200 pixel. You can see this 200 pixel. And we can also give it an height, but this 200 pixel is still looking. Let me make it 500 pixel. 500 pixel. Wow, I think I prefer that. And we can also give it a height, right? So let's give it height. There's also a property called height. Height. Let's make it 200 pixel. You can see it has reduced. So this 200 pixel in height. So because we've shortened it beyond what is meant to be, let's adjust it a little. Let me make it 300, because I've constrained it to 200 pixel. That's good. So let me see if I remove or replace it to inch. 200 pixel. So one thing about software development, one thing about CSS is that you have to just get your hand dirty by practicing all these things out. adjust it, see what effect it will have. So let's remove the padding. Let me comment it out. Let's just remove it and see what will happen. Good, we've commented the padding. You can see that everything has gone back to how it was edge to edge. But since we've already given it a definite size, a definite height, that's why it's like this. Because if you measure it from year to year, it's actually 300 pixel. So let's reduce it a little. Let's reduce it to 250. Let's see how it's going to be. 250 is like this. Okay, let me reduce it to 240. Good. 240 is like this. Now let's uncomment our padding. Control then forward slash. Good. Do you notice one thing? So now the padding is already been applied. Now the size has actually increased. It will not be no longer be this value again. It is more than this value just because I added padding to it, because I don't want the text padding. That means I added space here, I added additional space here, and I added additional space here, added space here, added space here, and added another additional space here. So we need to understand it, because in CSS padding is very very important. It enables you to move your 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 elements from the edge, depending on how you want it to be do. So depending on how you want it the design to be. Another property which is very very important is the margin property. Margin, margin. Good. So margin now separates your your HTML, your element, from other element within your web page. So I can do a margin. I can put a margin of, if I put a margin of 100 pixel, you can see that means that it pushed it from the right by 100 pixel, it pushed it from the top by 100 pixel, and also push it by this because the default position of every element is from this left hand side. That's the default position, except when I remove this, because I've already told it, I've instructed it from creating the width to be 500. So 500, that means it's the half of the screen. Now apart from these properties, this margin property, you can, let's go further on looking at this margin property. Okay, margin, right? We have margin top, we have margin bottom, we have margin left, we have margin right. When you use margin, that means that you are referring to every side, the top, the bottom, and the above. You may be specific that you just want to only create margin at the top. You can click on this margin top, then you use your 100 pixel. Margin top 100 pixel. You can see the movement, right? And apart from pixel, we also have pixel stand for, okay, px stand for pixel. We also have points. pt is for points. Point is bigger than pixel. Pixel can be seen as the tiniest box of a digital screen, the tiniest box. Apart from pixel, we can also use the m. That means we pronounce it as em. Apart from this, we can also, there's another, there is, we can also use the ram. So all of them have their own all of them have their own different meaning. So I can quickly just explain what RAM means. This one is relative to the roots. So this is like a children. Now this is the HTML, right? So the HTML has two children. It has the head section and also have the body. So the body section also have children, which has the meta, the the title, and the style. The same thing happens with the body. The body have children, has a child, which is the div, and the div also another has children, which is the h1, and this. So the the RAM is relative to the root. The root is the HTML. Is relative to the roots, but the EM is relative to the parent. Well, what is the parent of the box? The parent of the box is the body, right? So is relative to the size of the parent. So that is that about it, but it's not advisable to use the RAM, but it depends on what you want. Some people prefer to use pixel, and most times if you see website, you will see them writing code in pixel. So that's for this. So let's use our pixel, 100 pixel. Good. So the padding, the same thing applies to the padding. Let's go to the padding. So the same property that applies to the padding also applies to the margin. Now let's look at the padding too. Padding has, it has top, it has left, yeah, it has bottom, it has right, and you can see some other property that it has. The same thing still applies to, okay, you can see it now. Let's just look at the padding, but let's go back to our previous code. Good. So by doing this, by just providing a single value, is telling you that you are applying it to everything, both the top. This value is used for both the right, the left, the right, the left, the top, and the bottom. That's what it means. Then the margin top refer that you are just applying it. You are specifically applying it just to the top. This is the top here. This margin. And remember what we said margin is. Margin enables us to separate our HTML from other content of the website. So let me quickly copy this. Copy. So yeah, good. So this is actually two. We've created two div, right? You can see now because we've created margin top. Both of them have the same class. So remember we say in my previous video we can have div having similar class name. It is allowed for div to have similar class name. It is allowed. So now let me quickly remove the margin. Let me comment it out. I've commented it out. You can see that there is no space again between them, right? There's no space. So when I said let me uncomment it out again, good, you can see that there is space because I've already set a property of margin top. This is margin top, and I've given it a value of 100 pixel. At the same time, for both of them, this and this. Now I can still come back here and write margin left. left, left, and I've given it, let me give it a property of 50 pixel, 50 pixel. So that's the box model, not a difficult concept to understand. So that will be all for this video. Please, if you are new, please endeavor to subscribe so that you get notification when I upload new videos. Thank you.